Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Friday live question and answer class. We have these classes each week, so you have an opportunity to attend, ask your questions about American English pronunciation and American accent, questions that have come up for you during the week if you've been watching our Word of the Day series, or if you've been just checking out our videos on speechmodification.com and here on the channel. I know many of you are working on your speech and pronunciation and have been making really good progress, and it's an opportunity for you to check in and ask for things that you haven't yet heard in some of our other videos. So briefly at the start today, I want to talk about 4 words, and the purpose of talking about these words is to look at the two kinds of TH sound we have in American English. So what's important to know about TH is that for most of you, if you have an error on TH, it's not about whether it's voiced or voiceless. So you probably actually can do the voicing part correctly. The TH sound, even if I have the 2 sounds, so like in breath and ether, I have the voiceless TH sound. My vocal folds aren't vibrating. This is the sound we hear in words like think and both. You can hear there's just air happening. Versus either and breather, I have my voice on, breathe, example. That's a voiced sound. But for both sounds, the TH sound is made with my tongue resting gently between my teeth. So that's the most important aspect you need for saying a correct TH, because for some of you, you may be making the TH with the tongue behind the teeth, either pushing against the teeth or down low, which makes it sound more like a t or a d or a s or a z. So the tongue placement is most important. Then secondly, we have the voicing. So looking at the voicing, as I was saying, in the words either and breather, these TH sounds are voiced. So that's the same sound we have at the beginning of a word like that or those or the or there. My voice is on. So practicing with either and breather, it's pretty normal when there's a TH in the middle. Words like together, neither, either, for that TH to be voiced. So usually when you see a TH in the middle, it's going to be voiced. An exception would be the word ether, which isn't a common word, right? I should actually make that one green so it matches. So ether is a gas, right? Also used to refer to kind of in the ether, in the unknown realm. So ether sounds a little strange, right? Because normally we would have a voiced TH in a word like either or breather. And then in the word breath, it's voiceless. So sometimes then our more typical words are words like think and both. And then we do also have in the word with, some people pronounce that with a voiceless TH. Many people will pronounce with a voiced TH. Both are correct. So you might hear me say with, that's typical for my speech patterns, but you can say with, as well as within, without, with a voiced TH sound. So for all of these sounds, practicing getting that tongue position is your most important element, and then looking at whether it's a voiced or voiceless sound is secondary and something that might be useful for you to know about. So nice to see you here live today. Welcome. Do feel free to put your questions in the chat at any time, and I'll start looking at those and answering them for you now. Now that we've finished talking about the TH sounds. Okay, so we have a request for the word hinder. Let's take that word. Hinder has first syllable stress. And the letter I says the I sound, like in it and is. So you'll see a stress mark for first syllable stress. And then we have the ND says N and D, typical. And then we have our American sound at the end. Hinder. Rhymes with Tinder. Maybe you have heard of that app. Unlike it's got the same sounds as Tinder. It is not the same as a word like finder. That has the I diphthong. So even though we have the word hind, like hindquarters, in hinder, it sounds like an I sound. Okay, and then we also have a request for the word, for the phrase con artist. So let's look at that. So con, in this word, the letter O says the ah sound. So you might think of it as kind of a K-H, K-A-H, ka, adding your N, like Khan, the Wrath of Khan. Con artist we stress mostly on con, a little stress on art, and no stress on tist. Con artist. This T in artist is a flap T. It sounds like a light D. And we just have, the AR does say R, so just like the word R. And then this letter I says the I sound. Again, like same as in hinder. So a con artist. You can link them together. You don't need a break between the two, so your N can kind of move on the R, con artist. Okay, and we have a question about the words reward and forward. So for reward, even though these have similar spelling, the last four letters are the same, in reward, the ward is stressed. So my RE is not going to say re, it's going to say more of a R sound. You'll see that like this in the dictionary. The AR in war and ward and reward in reward sounds like an O. So you'll see in the dictionary an OR there. So thinking about that as being that, so that's confusing in the dictionary because it looks like the word word, which actually has an ER sound. So I'll write it like this. War, same as WAR, WORE. So thinking of it as an or rather than an or an r. So ward, and then a little light R sound. Reward. Versus forward has first syllable stress. And so what you're going to see there is that the for is long and the word is short and has a reduced vowel. So we no longer have the or sound for the WARD. In this case, it's an unstressed sound. And we have first syllable stress. This OR does say or. So you should think of it as for word with an ER sound there in that last syllable. So that is like the word word. So definitely the AR letter spelling can be confusing between these two words. Trying reward versus forward. Making sure you have your length there. That should help you with those two words. Great question. Thank you. Okay, and then we have a question about the word helpful. Let's take a look at that word. The question is whether the P sound is stopped. So helpful and helpful, yes. If I'm just saying help, I'm going to let that P out, help. By itself. If I'm saying help me, typically the stopped sounds like the p, t, k, and the b, d, g. All of those sounds at the ends of words, we tend to not release them. So they're unreleased stops. They are stop sounds. So especially when I'm followed by a consonant, or like if I said help me or helpful, I close my lips for the P, so I don't want to leave it off entirely. I don't want helpful, but I don't have to release and open for that P. I don't want helpful. It causes an interruption in the flow. So you close your lips for the P, and then you just release into the F. Helpful. Yeah, that's definitely challenging. So I would mark that with a stopped P, released into the F. Okay. Let's see, we have a request for the word soul. And the word soul and this word soul are the same. So they both have the O diphthong. So make sure that you're holding your O long enough and that you're relaxing and closing your jaw as you go. A good way to practice that is just by saying so by itself and holding your O longer and then adding your L, soul, soul. Because the L in soul is a dark L, there may be a little bit of a schwa sound, an ul in that, which means that you're going to have a bit of a gliding w between your O and your O, soul, soul. You don't really want to emphasize that w sound, soul. I can do it without too much glide, but typically in words like whole, soul, pole, etc., you're going to notice that as you link between those, between the O and the dark L, there's a little bit of a glide in there. Yeah, good question. Thank you. All right, we have a request or question about the name Renee. So the accent mark on Renee shows me that nay is going to be stressed. And Americans will say that with the A diphthong. So it sounds kind of like Renee, short and then light, long. So trying nay, Renee. You might see it also kind of as an I, like Renee. No E though, no E sound for that first E. Renee. Yeah, good question. It's hard to find information about names. The thing to watch out for too is that even though when I see that, I'm pretty sure this would normally be Renee, different individuals sometimes will have a different pronunciation for their particular name. So generally, that's how you say Renee. Though if you know someone who has that name and when you listen to other people say their name, if it doesn't sound like that, it could be that that person has a different individual pronunciation of the name. Okay, we have a question about the word onomatopoeia. So that's one is almost like trickier for me to spell than to say. So onomatopoeia. I'm checking how you wrote it. Okay, so we have the stress on the second to last syllable P, onomatopoeia. Secondary stress on that first syllable. So the first letter O says ah, ana. Then the second letter O is unstressed, so it's a schwa. Ma, second A, also secondary stress is another ah sound. The T is going to be flapped, sounds more like a D. Then this one's going to be a schwa. Then the last letters are the strangest. They just say iya, so they have an E and a schwa. So rewriting that, you can think about it like ana, mata, pia. The reason I'm putting the Y there, even though it's just an E and an in the IPA, is that when I'm going from E to again, there's another example of vowel to vowel gliding where I'm going to have this kind of a glide y sound because I'm moving from the E shape to the shape. So onomatopoeia. That's a tough one. That would be a good topic for a word of the day video. I'm sure other people are looking that one up because from the spelling, it's very hard to tell how you would pronounce that one. Okay, we have a request for the word all right. So all right. All right. I think second syllable stress here sounds just like the word all, which you might think of having that vowel all. And then, but that's pretty quick, all right. And then the right is just like the word right. It has the I diphthong. So you can think about it like this kind of right. All right. It's all right. Typically, we wouldn't pronounce that T with a lot. We wouldn't release it. It would just be a stop T. All right. It's all right with me. She's all right. I'd say there's probably a little secondary stress on the all because we have to have a little link there to be able to get that ah vowel and dark L. All right. But still, the main stress in the word is on the right syllable. Okay. We have a question about the word better. So better is a typical example of words that end in T-E-R or two T's, letter, better, butter, all use the flap T sound. So if it helps you to think about it like a D, better, that may be more helpful because when we have D's in the middle of words and ending in ER, those are also a flap. It's basically just that my voice is on and I'm not using a lot of force. So I don't want better. I just want better, better. My tongue lifts up for a light D sound and drops. We have the red tent vowel in better, first syllable stress, and then we end with our sound. I do have a video for talking about the word better, as well as water, little other examples for how we use that flap T. After class today, I'll put some timestamps in the description for the video and in the comments so that you can jump to the different words that we talked about. And you can also, I'll put additional links for related videos and information that might be helpful for you there. You can also get help for all of the sounds of English in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. We talk about the flap T, we talk about vowel sounds, go through each and talk about error patterns you might have, tips for pronouncing them easily and correctly. So that's a great foundation for building your overall pronunciation in American English, whatever the word might be. It also teaches you how to use the dictionary and look up words, so gives you some skills for as I said, a great foundation for American English. So that's our Sounds of English course, and it's on speechmodification.com on our courses page. All of our courses are either free or they're under $2, so they can be out there as a good resource for you and an inexpensive way to improve. Okay, we have a request for the word vigorously. Vigorously. So first syllable stress, vigorously. We have an I sound in the first syllable. The letters OR say the ER sound and vigorously. Vigor. I'm going to mark the ER sound as a schwa and an R because it's easier to break it down that way, because then we have another schwa after it. With an S and a li. So thinking about it like vigorously. Yeah, good word. Thank you. Okay, and the follow-up on the word all right, whether or not native speakers use the L, all right. In slang, I think people will say all right, it's all right. So you can leave that L out. Just be careful that you're imitating the way Americans do that. I tend to use the L, all right, it's all right. But yes, you're correct. Sometimes you will hear it more like all right without that L sound. Okay, I'm going to go back. I missed one at the beginning for Gabriel. He was asking about treadmill. So treadmill has first syllable stress. The EA in tread has the F vowel. So tread and red are rhyming words. And so in fact, you might want to start with saying the word red, then adding your T, red, tread, treadmill. And then our mill, if I'm going to do the IPA, has the I vowel. So it's just like the word mill or hill with the I and the dark L, ill, treadmill. Yeah, so kind of thinking about it like treadmill, like that is how I would look at it. Thank you for being patient giving me time to come back to your word. All right, we have a request for the word organization. So this is a word that differs in American English and British English. In American English, organization, we stress the same in both. So in American English, we have an or, then we have a schwa. Secondary stress on that first OR because it's a clear vowel. Orga, na. Primary stress on zay. And then we have our shun. So it sounds like or, ga, na, zay, shun. Almost no vowel in the end. So you see that it's actually a syllabic end. If there's any vowel at all, it's a little bit of a schwa. So you can kind of go slowly. Organization, organization. The only difference for British English is that they say clear vowel here. So they say organization. So they use a true I there. Organization. So that might be the difference that you hear if you learned a dialect of English that uses more the British pronunciation for this word versus the American pronunciation. That's a word I often use for an example to talk about syllable stress and vowel schwa and how British and American English are different. Also how looking at the letters of the word, we aren't always saying the vowel letters, but rather we have those unstressed schwa sounds in unstressed syllables. Okay. We have a question about the word pseudonym. That's another good one. Thank you for your request. So pseudonym has first syllable stress. The P is silent, so we start right on the S sound. This letters EU say the oo sound, so I would rewrite that like that. To visualize those sounds. Pseudonym. Then this O is going to be a schwa because it's unstressed. And then my last syllable is going to have some secondary stress with that im sound. Pseudonym. So pseudonym. Writing it this way looks very different than how it looks written out that way. So I think this is one where spelling is actually more complicated than the pronunciation. Pseudonym is not super complicated in terms of the sounds, but knowing what sounds you're supposed to do is definitely makes that one a hard word. So pseudo is a prefix we use on some other things as well. So it's kind of good to know how to do pseudo. I'm saying pseudo. If I said it by itself, we would say the O, but pseudonym, when we put it together with another word, letter O is a schwa, the sound. Thanks. That's a good word. Thanks for that request. Okay. So we had a question about whether I pronounce the word aisle as aisle or all, and I do this one. This is more what you would hear in the South in the U.S., where the I diphthong. In southern states and some other dialects of English, they'll change that more to an ah. They do all. So they would say I'm going, or I have it instead of I have it. I'll do it. I would probably go with this pronunciation because it's more standard across American and British English, and more parts of the U.S. will recognize. They'll understand and recognize when you're saying I'll, and that's usually actually how I rewrite it to help people, because when they're trying to say I'll, sometimes they can't lose the w of the will. They see this and they think I will, but it is good to kind of revisualize it with that I'll pronunciation. So it's really kind of like you'll. So you can think about it like I'll, or this one if you can pronounce I'll easily. Good question. So depending on where you are, you're going to hear some variation, of course, for native speakers as well. All right, we have a request for the word maelstrom. I'm going to write it, and then I'm going to use my dictionary to double check. That's a word that I usually read and I don't say very much, but I'm pretty sure that this AE is like male, just like this word male or this word male. And then the strum, it's like actually like the word, like strum a guitar. That O is a schwa. So it would be male strum, like that. But let's just double check the dictionary to make sure that I'm not leading you astray on the pronunciation. I always like to double check if I'm not sure. And I always like to show how to check the dictionary because I think that's just clearly a useful resource. And sometimes, even when you look something up in the dictionary, if you see the symbols there, they don't make a lot of sense to you. So you can learn about how to read those symbols in my Sounds of English course. And of course, in all of my videos, I'm showing the IPA as well as the alternative way of thinking of it as the spelling so that you can use those to help you with symbols. So the dictionary I like is the Oxford Learner's Dictionary. You can find that by searching for that, or you can also go to speechmodification.com. And if you go to our free practice area, click on our online practice free trial, you can click in the search box here and you can put in any word or phrase or sound that you want and see lessons related to it. So I'm just going to model typing in dictionary and doing a search, and it's going to show you all of the different lessons I have that talk about the dictionary. This first one, using the online dictionary, is the one that I recommend. So this one teaches you about reading the dictionary. And it also has a link to some of the dictionaries I like, including the Oxford Learner's Dictionary. So we're going to look up the word maelstrom and double check my pronunciation to make sure I got it correct. Yes. So fortunately I did. So I like this dictionary because it uses the IPA symbol. So you can see it matches how I teach in my videos and on my website. And then this is going to be the British pronunciation versus the American English. So in British,
maelstrom.
Maelstrom. It sounded to me kind of like a schwa there, but it does have a slightly different vowel. In American English,
maelstrom.
Maelstrom. So that's also tends to be useful because for many people, the English taught and spoken around the world is not always American or British. Being able to see that, okay, yeah, where I learned English or the English spoken in my home country tends to have some of these more British pronunciations. That's just a useful tool. Okay, so that was kind of a long time on the word maelstrom, but thank you for bringing that up. And let's take a few more requests and then we'll need to wrap up for today. I'll be back again tomorrow with another Word of the Day class, as well as next Friday. We'll be meeting at the same time. For our channel members, we do also have our Sunday class where you can come live and ask questions, but you can also leave your questions and comments on any video throughout the week, and then I answer them on Sundays for the channel members. So they don't have to wait as long to get their questions answered and to have their requests covered. Even if you can't attend that class live, you can watch the replay as a channel member. So if you haven't yet checked that out, you might want to click the join button and just see some of the membership options, the different perks that we offer, and ways you can support the channel. Thank you so much, those of you who have subscribed or joined as channel members. I really appreciate it. Okay, we have a request for the word film. In American English, this is a one-syllable word with the I vowel. Film. And we do the L and the M. I was thinking fill. So basically, to work on it, try saying the word fill, and then add your M. Film. Not super easy combination, but just lifting your tongue in the front for the L, film, and then you just finish off closing the lips to get that M sound. Another thing that might help you is if you're trying to use it in a phrase, like say something like film it, rather than trying to break after film before it, you could think of that as being something more like film it. That might help you get that LM combination if that's difficult for you. Or filma, etc. Any word following with a vowel, when you link them, that tends to help with those final consonant clusters like LM. That's a good request. Thank you. Okay, wonderful requests today. A nice variety of words, definitely some challenging ones, and I really appreciate all of those great questions, both in today's class and for those of you who've been leaving questions and requests and suggestions on our Word of the Day series. I'll be continuing to make those videos daily for you guys moving forward. I have a nice long list of your requests, and we will meet again next Friday at this same time with our live class so that you can ask questions that have come up for you during the week. Thank you so much for being a part of class today. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much. Hope to see you again soon.